The scariest end-of-the-world essay ever written, Adam and Eve story by Chan Thomas. I have a copy. Hello. You know, I picked this up at an extremely sharp price point. Now, you can't even find the original, but you can find a copy that was from 1993, many years after this one was written, not autographed, and I found a deal right now for only $1,153. Now, this is an original, this is an autographed copy, and it also is pretty spooky, folks. It reminds me of the 2012 film, the 2012 movie. So, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share with you a quick excerpt from the event 11,500 years ago. Now, let me just share this with you one more time here. The Adam and Eve story. We just look at it. Let me share with you. This was actually autographed. How cool is that? It was definitely meant to be. Now, Chan Thomas discusses how the center of the Earth actually releases this gray matter, which is like a nuclear bomb that actually causes a huge catastrophe that wipes out almost everything on the surface of the planet. Now, you're talking 1,000-mile-an-hour winds, a tidal wave that goes across almost the entire North American continent at about a mile in height, lava coming from the from the ground. It's literally like something out of the film 2012. So remember Woody Harrelson. Now, I learned from Woody's mistakes, and I will be here after the event. Now, this is titled The Event 11,500 Years Ago. Now, if you're new to the Leak Project, if you're new to the podcast, you can see that I've done several shows in the past in reference to the Adam and Eve story. The author, let me tell you just a little bit about Mr. Thomas. He attended Dartmouth College and Columbia University. He received a degree in electrical engineering from the latter in 1943. Now, he was also a world leader or a recognized authority in cataclysmic geology and in the relationship to uniformination, nanu, geology. Now, I said that wrong, and I don't really care. So, let me go to what's important. Let's talk about the event now. 11,500 years ago. Hello. You forgot that I just mispronounced that word. You forgot that I just mispronounced that word. You forgot that I just mispronounced that word. About 11,500 years ago, in 9550 BC, as dated by astronomers from Potsdam Observatory, from writings in the ruins of Tiahuanaco, the 60-mile thick shell of the Earth shifted its position once more in a quarter to a half a day. 7,000 years after the previous shift, the North Pole moved southward, and the Sudan Basin in Africa shifted to the North Pole. This was the time which the Talmud states was the setting of the Pleiades below the horizon, when the Holy Land was moved into a region of terrible cold for many generations, for between 5,000 and 6,500 years, until Noah's flood. Now, the equatorial pivot points were off the coast of mid-Chile, in mid-China, near the Yangtze, north of Vietnam. So, here's what's interesting. The great continent in the Pacific actually disappeared almost to its entirety. What is now Easter Island? Now, the edge of the continent dropped to remain on the Pacific Ocean floor for 5,000 years. Now, it was heaved up again in the cataclysm causing Noah's flood. What remained of the vast Pacific continent rolled to the South Pole to be discovered by Mayan explorers as the last remains of their motherland, a frozen reservoir of mud at the bottom of the Earth, millions of square miles in area. Now, if you'd like to read more, I hope you have over $1,000, or you can actually go directly to an Alphabet Agency's website and the Freedom of Information Act. They do have a PDF download available for you, yet it doesn't have all of the information in the actual copy of the book. It is a scrubbed version And there is some information available in the actual physical documents versus what's available online. However, with that said, I would definitely recommend going to that website and reading it for yourself. And what do you think about when it talks about how these winds are going to be so cataclysmic that they will literally cause mounds of flesh to be built up from flesh of animals and humans? It's pretty wild. Now, I think there's always a good story. I think that I'd also like to share with you a few Illuminati cards, because this one right here is the big media. There's 6 conglomerates that control about 90% of the media that feeds you your daily dose of brain drain information, big media, which helps law and order for big media. Who controls big media? Who do you think controls big media, ladies and gentlemen? Now, do you remember this card? I just want to share this card with you one more time. Who does that look like? What was used in 2001, 2002, 2003, and still today, especially in the Middle East, at least according to the media? We just look at it. And with that said, have you ever met one of these guys? Have you ever been deprogrammed from the program that you're already following? With what happened recently in Texas, Sutherland Springs, as well as Las Vegas, and, the official narrative that they give you before that, will that create more of this? Will that create more of this? And are they leading to... Is it leading to this, ladies and gentlemen? Is it leading to this? But before this happens, ladies and gentlemen, we just look at it. Before this happens, will this happen so it's easier for the, what do you call it? Hello, reorganization. Will it be easier for the reorganization? Because this guy right now, let me remind you, they do not want him in power right now. Those that fund the majority of the media do not want him in power. Now, there was a recent episode that I saw, Mr. Robot, the new season, episode 3, where the black, what are they called? The Black Knights from the Chinese army, Mr. Robot. Okay, yeah. So the Chinese in Mr. Robot season 3 are the ones that got President Trump in office. Just watch the episode. That's the new smear campaign, that it was the Chinese that put Mr. President Trump in office. The Black Knight Army. Now, they're also heavily invested in this thing right here, the internet worm. And will combined disasters follow suit? Will combined disasters follow suit? We all know about this guy right here. You know this guy. Kim Jong-un. North Korea. Doesn't that look like Mr. Kim from North Korea? I shared with you the pamphlets from Hawaii that discussed exercises and preparations for nuclear attacks from North Korea. Will that allow the emergency powers to usher in their hegemony? And is China really behind? Is China really behind this guy? I doubt it. And what about this guy? Who does this look like? Who does this look like? Have you ever had one of these? Have you ever seen one of these? The first experience I had with one of these was back in 2001. Cincinnati, Ohio. Silent. You couldn't hear it. It hovered over the house for about an hour that I knew of. 2-story house. Just hanging out. And it was probably less than 300 feet. Absolutely, I know it was less than 300 feet. It was probably less than 100 feet away from the homestead. Now, go back 16 years and think of a black helicopter that is completely silent hanging out in the suburbs. Remember that? You going to say something? Are you going to say something?
Something.
Oh my goodness. Somebody's shy. Will they ever create this? Is that the ultimate goal? National martial law. National martial law. Well, martial law. Hello. Many things to think about. I also was fortunate enough to get a smoking deal on the entire Illuminati New World Order set from 1994, Steve Jackson Games. 409 cards. As soon as I get that, I'm going to share each card with you guys. And there's also additional expansion packs, I guess you could call them. There's this one called Assassins, and there is a card specifically from that series that I am going to share with you. I'm going to share several of them with you. I purchased the entire, well, not the entire. I ordered all of the commons and the uncommons, but I wasn't able to get. There was 30 of them that didn't come with a set. Anyway, make a long story short, one card in particular. I ordered all of these cards for one card in particular. One card in particular that good luck finding this thing. Good luck finding this card that I'm going to share with you here shortly. Illuminati, New World Order, Steve Jackson Games. What did this guy know? What does this guy know? How did he get this? Did he just channel the information? If you read the Wikipedia story about how he got this information, it's from the Illuminatus series, which I actually purchased this series from the 70s. Hey, where is that? Is that inside? Okay, well, can you find it? I ordered the series, the book series. I was able to get it for a pretty good deal that discusses the actual, it's supposedly it's what gave the inspiration for these cards, and it came out in the 70s. Now it's fiction, and I haven't read the entire series yet. It's a three book series. I will share that with you guys also. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Have a beautiful day, question everything, and be the change you want to see. LeakProject.com. Chan Thomas discusses how the center of the Earth actually releases this gray matter, which is like a nuclear bomb that actually causes a huge catastrophe that wipes out almost everything on the surface of the planet. Now, you're talking 1,000-mile-an-hour winds, a tidal wave that goes across almost the entire North American continent at about a mile in height, lava coming from the from the ground. It's literally like something out of the film 2012. So remember Woody Harrelson. Now, I learned from Woody's mistakes, and I will be here after the event. Now, this is titled The Event. With you, a quick excerpt from the event 11,500 years ago. Now, let me just share this with you one more time here. The Adam and Eve story. We just look at it. Let me share with you. This was actually autographed. How cool is that? It was definitely meant to be. Now, the scariest end of the world essay ever written, Adam and Eve story by Chan Thomas. I have a copy. Hello. You know, I picked this up at an extremely sharp price point. Now, you can't even find the original, but you can find a copy that was from 1993, many years after this one was written. not autographed, and I found a deal right now for only $1,153. Now, this is an original, this is an autographed copy, and it also is pretty spooky, folks. It reminds me of the 2012 film, the 2012 movie. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share